When I started my startup, right, the first thing came to my mind was Deshpande Startups. Back then it was Sandbox Startups. So any person who is in the region of Karnataka, North Karnataka, that is Hubbali, Dharwad, Belagavi, right, who doesn't know about Deshpande Startups? So we have Rakshit with me. So basically we are going to talk about Deshpande Startups from him. We'll ask him about Deshpande Startups, and we'll see that it's been quite a long time I've been not associated with Deshpande Startups. So I would like to know more that what's happening in the current affairs, so that you people will get to know how to get in touch with Deshpande Startups and get benefit out of it. So Rakshit, as I told, right, I am very part away from Deshpande Startups from quite a long time. So I'd just like to know that what are the current happenings and what is the current status of Deshpande Startups, so that our viewers get to know about it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do actually thank you for choosing us as a place where your entrepreneurship journey can actually begin. I'm glad that you're one or the other way associated with the startup ecosystem and trying to help this particular region get the limelight that is possible through your initiatives. I want to congratulate you on that. Deshpande Startups, yes, of course, it has been actually helping entrepreneurs since 2016. But then, of course, as you know, we were initially focused more on the social entrepreneurship angle and also helping some technology entrepreneurs since 2006. We had different initiatives from the foundation point of view, but from 2016 we were Technology Business Incubator supported by Department of Science and Technology from Government of Karnataka. Since then, we've supported nearly around 450 plus entrepreneurs. We nearly have helped 110 patents to be filed, patents that are filed by the startups. 65 of our startups have actually raised funds, follow-on funds, I would say. Nearly around 6 crores of actually funds that the government grants which are there, we've actually dispersed that. And some of these startups have actually raised 60 CR as a put together value of investment that they've raised from their side. That's a brief of what we've done. Of course, as you all know that Deshpande Startups runs multiple programs, whether it is pre-incubation phase, incubation phase, or acceleration phase. We are actually doing a bit in the region. So now, post-COVID, we've actually supported startups virtually as well. We run now a virtual incubation program. So recently we've just opened up our incubation program applications as well. If somebody who's focused on agri, food and allied sectors and also on sustainability, or anyone who's a founder who's coming from the rural and small towns and wanting to build a product for the world, you're most welcome to our ecosystem. Feel free to apply to our new application that we've opened up. This time it will be 12 months of engagement with these particular startups, and it's going to be intense. It's going to help these startups actually build their MVP and then start earning early revenue. And not just that, but also raise funds eventually if they're capable and able to sustain that particular business for a longer period of time. But we will help them actually get that clarity at the initial stage.
So as I see that in yearly's time, every year Deshpande Startup comes up with the Startup Gravity or Deshpande, what is that?
Foundation Development Dialogue.
Development Dialogue, right?
Yeah.
So right now we are at Techceleration 2023, right? So how these events are making an impact in the entrepreneur's journey, because when we see that you are speaking about the programs or the concrete or structured programs which will help entrepreneurs, right? So these kind of events, one how should he get benefit out of it, and what are the scopes and possibilities that a person who is getting into such events, so what he should have the mindset or what he can grab from this?
Absolutely. I mean, in my opinion, personally, right, I am born and brought up in Hubbali, but in the last 18-20 years, right, we never actually relied on anybody for the growth that this particular region has seen, right? It's all actually being entrepreneurial, and the people of this particular region have become entrepreneurial, and they have built this particular city to this particular level at the moment. And it's good to see that government is also super active, at least in the last 5 years. Bringing initiatives like Karnataka Digital Economy Mission. It's good to see that Techceleration has now the second or the third set of an activity that is getting happened in Hubbali and then now in Belgaum also, which is a good sign. It's very, very important because most of our founders who come from the tier 2 and tier 3 background, right, they are not exposed that much when compared to metro cities, right? If you look at Bangalore has access to n number of actually such networking events where people just go, like-minded conversations happen. Then eventually it rises to some spark in the mind, and that spark actually gets amplified when they attend such events. Whereas Hubbali Dharwad Belagavi did not have something like this. Of course, we were doing every year, Tycon or Deshpande Startups had its own flagship events like Development Dialogue, which is focused more on NGO related engagements. Whereas Startup Dialogue was focused more on the entrepreneurs that we engaged. Nearly all of these events used to have 300 to 400 entrepreneurs walk-ins every year. We've done that consecutively for 5-6 years, and we've seen that 70% of 70+% of actually entrepreneurs all come from tier 2, tier 3 to our ecosystem, and that's a good sign, right? And it also showcases that more and more such events are important, and it's also good to see that Belgaum also now has started something called Belgaum Tech Meetup, which is also in association with Vedpa. It's a good sign that last year I was part of it, and there were nearly around 300 plus tech enthusiasts who were part of this. So such initiatives are very, very important. In my opinion, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you should have the entrepreneurial mindset, and the first step that you need to take is actually network. And the more and more actually you introduce yourself, talk to people, share your ideas, the more clarity you start getting in, and the more motivation and aspirations starts cooking in inside your mind. So that's the fundamentals. I would reach out to all these youngsters who are part of this particular region to be part of such networking events more and more often, so that you benefit out of it. And eventually, you don't know. I mean, it's just a bet, right? Probably you might not actually become an entrepreneur in the next 1 year, but over a period of time, right, you will actually build a network of good like-minded people, technology network. So that at one point of time you will actually eventually use this particular network and then grow in your personal life. So I think it's very, very important in my opinion. Yeah.
So one thing what I have in my mind is when I see people at Deshpande Startups, the kind of entrepreneurs I see there. Moreover, I can tend to happen to meet people from the rural side. So we speak about tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities, right? But my personal experience was at Deshpande Startups, I happened to meet people from rural areas. So what kind of mindset or the personality those people have from rural India, right? Who wants to become an entrepreneur or are getting access to Deshpande Startups. So what is the potential there? That I would like to know.
Yeah. See, one of the philosophies that we believe is actually it's not the startup idea that will actually that's important, but the founder as a founder itself, right? If he has the right mindset, probably he'll take this particular idea to a greater extent. Though most of the tier 2, tier 3 entrepreneurs have not actually become a unicorn or decacorn. Or even actually $1 billion business also, right? But then they were able to actually employ at least 10 to 20 people year on year, and they have a consistent consecutive growth, I would say, not consistent. Consecutive growth is very, very important for a startup as well. And in our ecosystem, one of the best advantages is, see, I come from a tier 2, tier 3 background. I'm born and brought up in Hubbali, but I did have my own startups, right? So we've been there in the shoes of an entrepreneur who built businesses, and then now come back and actually kind of contributed to that particular ecosystem itself, right? Where we are actually nurturing the next set of entrepreneurs. So we've made sure that there are designed specific programs that actually specifically help these rural or a tier 2, tier 3 founder who wants to get support. We've made sure that they get everything under one single umbrella. For example, so we run specific founder development programs. We run mentorship specific programs with people like our own founder, Deshpande. He himself actually comes every year and interacts with these particular entrepreneurs. Imagine the amplification of the whole motivation that happens, right? It's huge. And not just him. There are a lot of program managers who associate with us. They all come from the entrepreneurship background, and they're all from the tier 2, tier 3 background, right? So they understand. They actually synergize with the mindset and the journey these actually entrepreneurs go through. And most of them actually have the fear of failure as well, right? And you talk to any rural entrepreneurs, the two things that they actually lack is the confidence and communication, right? So predominant focus is on that. So you build your communication, have clarity of idea that you want to focus on, have a clear problem statement with you. If your problem statement is clear, you build in a confidence that hey, I can sell this particular product to anyone and anywhere in the world, then that itself is actually a big success. And that's hence you see a lot of entrepreneurs who come to our ecosystem have a larger success rate when compared to any other ecosystem. That's one take that that's my personal observation also. And any entrepreneur who comes in here, it's not just about intangible values that we add, but also certain tangible things, like we have lab facilities which are created, like 3D printing technology which is in-house. We have electronic systems design and manufacturing lab where PCB assembly happens, and this is at a large scale. I mean, like, we get companies, bigger companies, get their PCB lots actually getting manufactured, assembled here. And then we have a mechanical lab space also, so they don't need to go anywhere else. Right, from the design to manufacturing, they have everything under one single umbrella, and with that, mentorship backed with clarity. Nothing else to say, right? So it's just a success formula for you.
Absolutely, I would have gone on and on.
Yeah, but
because the time constraint.
Correct.
But then we have received a good insight about Deshpande Startups and the programs which Deshpande is initiating. So it was great interacting with you, and we often interact offline. If this is the first time we are interacting on the online session, then it was great insights, sir. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
a lot. My pleasure. I would seek every individual to actually pick up entrepreneurship. This is the right time and right place. I would say Hubbali Dharwad Belagavi is going to be the next Bangalore or the tech hub for the whole world.
Yes.
I would urge a lot of entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs particularly, to take up entrepreneurship. See if you can actually experiment for some time, and then leave the dream of an entrepreneur. Right? Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Thank you so much.